Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Coriander's with me, Killian's with me, and today we're going to be talking about John Wick from 2014, starring obviously Keanu Reeves, Ian McShane, Lance Reddick, and guys, this is going to be fun. We're going to start talking about the John Wick movies finally, as we lead up to 4 coming out. But first off, I just want to say, and at the time of this recording, and I literally just read this, Kill, you just found out that Lance Reddick has passed away, which it really sucks. Obviously playing the character Sharon in the John Wick movies, but in so many other things, and shout out to Fringe and The Wire and so forth. But I just wanted to, first of all, just kind of say, man, it sucks and rest in peace. And I really enjoyed him as an actor. Kill, I know you've been a fan of his as well, especially in his video game stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, The Wire, Fringe, Horizon Zero Dawn, Destiny, the Castlevania animated series, the Resident Evil Netflix series, and just his voice work. I mean, when you hear his voice, you know who it is. And
Right.
He was such a great thespian, and we loved him in John Wick, and he will definitely be missed, man. Definitely be missed.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm literally speechless. Literally, we just found this out, just for me anyways, minutes before we started this recording. But anyways, rest in peace to Lance Reddick, only 60 years old. So, but guys, let's talk about this movie, because this movie has really changed the game, for action movies in general, and it's been a benchmark in my opinion. So Coriander, let's start with you. You've obviously seen John Wick a couple times, not as many times as me and Kill, but you're catching up. So, and plus you're a big fan of Keanu Reeves. What's your quick take on John Wick?
I love these movies. I love them all. And I love just, the premise of this movie and why he gets back into the business. And it's tragic and it's kind of romantic too, in a way, So, and I'm just, weird with all romance shit. But anyway, I just love this movie. Yeah.
Okay. All right. How about you, Kill?
Man, look, I could talk for days about this. If these movies were made back in the 60s or 70s, they would be westerns. A simple premise, I mean, they would. Some people might look at the premise, especially the first movie, as being very simplistic, and it is. And sometimes that's great, because you have a very simplistic reason for what he's doing, but the world that surrounds it is just so interesting and amazing. And in the movies that precede it, they just expand more and more. And Keanu Reeves is just an amazing talent, and he always has been, and he's just a great guy, and you believe everything he does in this movie. So that's all I got for now, because I could keep going.
Absolutely. Well, and I just wanted to kind of get open-ended thoughts, but I mean, for me, this movie, it surprised the hell out of me, and I feel ashamed about that. And I'm going to tell you why. Because first of all, I've always been a fan of Keanu Reeves. In everything he does, he always, he just stands out. He's got a certain charisma that shines through. You know what I'm saying? No matter what movie he's in. Now, I'm not saying he's the greatest actor ever, because he is not. But similar to how we talk about like Arnold, or some of our other
Sylvester,
film. Well, but I think Sylvester Stallone is a good actor though, and I think he's proven that. And I'm not saying he's better than what I'm saying is okay, but what I'm saying is that Keanu Reeves is not a great actor. He's not known as a great actor, but what he does have is he's got the it factor. He's got a charisma. He's got a magnetism, and like you were just saying, Kill, he has a lot of believability in a lot of his roles, especially roles in action. And what I was getting to is, this is the third time that Keanu Reeves has been in a movie that has literally changed or moved the bar in film, especially action. Okay. First, it was Speed. That movie, it really, first of all, changed his career, but it also really made a huge dent in action films. And then, of course, The Matrix, okay, which to me, I mean, we could go on and on about that as well. And then he comes back in John Wick. Three different types of movies, three different types of action films, three different types of characters, and Keanu Reeves is at the center of it. So that's the first thing I want to get out of my head before I forget, is that he's literally had a career and a history of doing this type of stuff. So when this movie first came out and I had heard about it, I was kind of like, oh, okay, it's a new Keanu Reeves movie. What is it called? Oh, John Wick. What's that? I had no clue. Then I found out it was an action movie, that he was, a hitman or something like that, and I still wasn't on board. When I watched this movie, it totally blew me away. And we're going to get more into those things shortly, but let's get into the story a little bit. Obviously, directed by Chad Stahelski, who has helmed all of the John Wick movies. We're only talking about the first one right now, but it had a very small budget, 20 to 30 million, but the box office was close to 90 million. So this movie did really good business, was critically praised as well. So Coriander, I want to start with you. The story is very simple, like Killian was saying. In the beginning of the movie, were there any things that really stood out to you about this character? Because we know nothing of what he is, but the film kind of peels away those layers.
Yeah, I mean, you learn, and pretty quickly that he's married. His wife is sick. And he absolutely adores and loves her. This was like his, like we all learned from this movie, he left the business because of her. Right. You know what I mean? She changed everything for him.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's awesome that he had, a few years with her, but it's so sad that, when you lose the love of your life, I couldn't imagine, so you feel for the guy.
You do.
I loved how it started, because right off, you feel sorry for him,
right.
And you really don't know much about him. What he did, but you don't know how good he is. So,
right.
Yeah, I love how it began.
Good point. How about you, Kill?
It's funny. Coriander kind of said it. It's also a love story. And what I love about it and the way that Keanu plays John is he's much like John Rambo, played by Sylvester Stallone in First Blood.
Mm-hmm.
His dialogue in this movie is not a lot,
right?
At least not in the first halves of this movie. And even towards the end, he gets upset more than anything. But He's a man of action and morals, and the simplicity of the story, like Coriander said, his wife is dying of cancer. She passes away, and the final wish or act of kindness she wanted to do was give her husband a puppy, something to love, something to hopefully keep him from going back to his old ways, going back to the business. And the one thing I love about this is this movie does a lot of storytelling just by the actors and conversation. You never once see an actual scene of what he used to do prior to this movie beginning. You just hear exploits of his past feats. Played by great characters that reflect all of that. So the beginning of this movie, it starts off very heartfelt, with him mourning his wife and him trying to rebuild, from that loss.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. It's very heartfelt, and Keanu, even though, like you say, he doesn't have a lot of dialogue, he's always been physically, able to let you know what he's about, to let you know how he feels. And we see the scene where, he's at the funeral, and of course, we also get a sense that he has people that at least give a shit about him, most notably Marcus, played by the great Willem Dafoe. And listen, as soon as Willem Dafoe came into this movie, because I didn't know he was in it at first, but as soon as I saw Willem Dafoe, I was like, the shit's on now, because something's going to go down.
I love Willem Dafoe.
Right?
Love him.
Right? But just to kind of go further along, he gets this puppy, and of course his name is Daisy, and you really get a sense of how much his wife loved him, like you were saying, Coriander, and he loved his wife and so forth. So everything's gravy. But you know what, Coriander, sometimes when you're out running errands, you got to go and get some gas for your vehicle. Now, I don't know about you guys.
Beautiful vehicle.
69
Oh my God.
Mustang.
Yeah.
69 Mustang. But listen, here's the thing. I don't know about you guys, but when I go to Cumberland Farms or whatever, if I ever see a dude that looks like this, then I'm going to be a little worried. And, we just meet these characters. They just start popping up in this movie. And you're thinking, okay, well, what's going to happen? And you really don't know. That's the great thing about this movie. You don't know what's going to happen. Alfie Allen, who's playing the son of a Russian mobster. And of course, for those Game of Thrones fans, you know who this is. But,
right.
He's basically saying, hey, I want to buy your car. And John Wick is basically like, it's not for sale.
She's not for sale.
She's not for sale.
There you go.
For sale. All right. So, but what was funny about it, though, was that he started talking in Russian. And he says, his name is Yusuf in the movie. He says, everything's got a price, bitch. And you're thinking, wow, he's got one up on John Wick, and we don't know much about John Wick yet. And then, of course, he says, not this bitch. And it's like, okay, Wick knows Russian. So like, it's just, in other words, it's layering his character. You understand that he's a worldly person, he knows culture. And so anyways, it's a quick interaction, and at the time you don't think much of it. But Coriander, I want to get to the scene where, and I think that there's a lot going on in this scene more than what we see on the screen. But when he goes to the airport and he's driving around, what a scene. I never really have seen a scene like that in a movie, I don't think. Yeah. But what did you think of the scene, Coriander? And then we'll go to Kill.
Oh my God, I was thinking this poor puppy is probably getting thrashed around in this car. That's what I was thinking. Okay. No, but you feel bad because you see that he doesn't really value his life anymore. So, yeah, it's...
Oh, that's
it's
what you
kind
got
of
out of it. Okay.
Yeah. If he's, because he comes close to smashing into that big truck with the plow, so yeah.
Okay.
That's quite a tense moment.
Okay. What about you, Kill? What did you think of that scene?
I'm kind of in the same boat as Coriander. This is borderline suicide. To me, this seems like something he does on a regular basis because the security guard recognized him and he was just
let him in.
Okay, the norm.
Right.
Well, it also, I think, reflects kind of the violence he used to be a part of, and maybe kind of missing that in a weird way. So I think it's a little bit of both. Him kind of pushing it to the edge to get that adrenaline rush.
Right, but let me just jump in. I don't see it as being suicidal whatsoever. I see it as training. This is training, which plays out, and I don't want to skip ahead. This plays out at the end of near the end of the movie. This is training because he can't kill people, or at least he's not wanting to kill people because he's retired. He says himself that he's retired because he was in a different life with his wife and so forth. This is his outlet. This is like when I go to the gym and I'm punching on a heavy bag. You know what I'm saying? At least that's the way I saw it. And I'm not saying you guys are wrong, but I'm just saying the way I was looking at it, because John Wick is in control. You know what I'm saying? When he was driving towards those trucks, I didn't think that he was testing if he would die or not. I think he was training to make sure that he could stop on a dime if he needed to and so forth. Because like I said,
I don't think he needs training in driving. I mean, the vehicles that he owns, he's probably going to be a crazy driver anyway, because those muscle cars, I mean, come on. I don't know. That's interesting that you said that because I've never...
Well, let me tell you from a martial arts point of view. You always have to train. You never stop training. My Sifu never stops training, and he's absolutely amazing. So this is his way to do it
Maybe
without hurting
mental
other people.
training.
Well,
You know
whatever
what
it
I
is.
mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever it is. This is him stretching his legs out. He's got a place where he can literally do whatever he wants to do with this car, and his reflexes, his timing, his spirit. You know, to me, this was basically a ring for him. That's the way I saw it.
Well, I think there is something there, but the only thing I would say in regards to if it was training, he's not been training with using guns because he has his guns buried and cemented.
Yeah.
So he's training to stay sharp driving, possibly. But I would think if that's the case, he would also still train to make sure he can still, use a gun effectively.
Maybe, but like I said, I think it's a way that he still has a link to his old life. I mean, that's just like with me. I don't always train with my swords, but if I got a heavy bag or if I can do push-ups, that's something. You know what I'm saying? That's, I mean, and I could be totally wrong, but that's the way I looked at it because because first of all, he could kill himself in a lot of other ways, much easier than that. I think he was just literally just testing his skills and also releasing anger, releasing frustration, especially after still dealing with his wife. Because he even said that later on, that when he got the puppy, he was finally able to grieve alone. You know what I'm saying? And you could tell that this was, like you said, Kill, this is something that he had done quite often. And to me, he had just gotten the puppy, so it's almost like, well, hey dude, today's my day to do my driving thing, jump on in with me. But either way, it was amazing seeing it, and I think the fact that we're talking about it shows that this movie was giving us a little bit more than what was on the screen. You know what I'm saying? That you could perceive a lot more, and that's credit to the director, to the screenwriters, to everyone involved, because in other words, we were getting a lot of layers to this character without him saying a single word.
Yes.
And that's the ultimate thing I want to get across with the scene. But after that, everything's kind of whatever, and then we get the home invasion scene. And I will not show exactly what happens, Kill, because I know last time when we talked about these type of situations, like with The Fly 2, you're about to come across the screen and hit me. So I will not show what happened, but the home invasion. That's right, I do too. The home invasion happened, and sure enough, Daisy heard the invaders coming into the house and actually tried to stick up for John Wick when he was getting pummeled to the ground. First of all, Coriander, what do you think of this scene? It's definitely a kick in the gut.
It certainly is. I mean, I had a dog just like this. His name was Eli, and he had those ears. He was the best fucking dog. So right there, I was relating with this little puppy.
Yeah.
And the first time I saw this movie, holy shit, I couldn't believe it. And the fact that, like, when he woke up after getting the shit kicked out of him, and that poor little dog was right there for him to see when he opens his eyes. It's like, dude, wow. And just the significance of what this dog held for him.
Exactly.
It's like, wow, it was a rough scene.
It really was. And also, and before I get to you in a second, Kill, the thing that's interesting, you're right, what this puppy represents. And one thing that I found that was very interesting is that the puppy's death was written out of the script several times, because they realized how hard of a scene this would be for viewers. But it was written in so many times. They were going back and forth, in other words, but they had it written in because of what it meant thematically. This whole thing, and I might do a separate video on this because I've been thinking a lot about this. This whole thing rests on the shoulders of this dog, and I've heard many people that love this movie, and even people who've heard about it say, oh, well, he's just killing because of his dog. That's just the surface. In reality, that's not even the reason. There's, in other words, there's a whole world load of other stuff that it represents. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And it is a difficult scene. Kill, I know it was a difficult scene for you as well.
Yeah, and like you were just saying, this movie is not your typical action movie because there's so much nuance to it.
Right.
both by the writers, the directing, the cinematography, the soundtrack, and of course the actors. And yes, it is a dog that gets killed, but it's not necessarily just that or the act, but that's the final aspect of his wife and things of that nature. And essentially, you have a man who, and later they kind of detail what he had to do to get out of the business.
Right.
And to change so drastically for love and the woman he loved, and to essentially bottle those demons up, and then for this to happen, and the way that Keanu portrays it, and it shows up later in the movie, it's just just like unleash. Yeah, it's just perfect because he is such a tempered person, whether it's just in just his daily life or as far as the business. But it just comes out so well as the movie expands and goes deeper into it.
Absolutely. I totally agree with everything you guys have said. So that was really, really difficult to see, and I've seen this movie probably a dozen times easily,
and it doesn't get easier.
Right, that scene never gets any easier. But after that, and I think the writing is very, it's smart writing, because it takes you from that really difficult scene, and then it starts to make you pay attention to some other things. Most notably, who is this fucking John Wick? And the way that it's done is so smart. And of course, Kill, and you look, there's certain actors that every once in a while is fun to talk about, and I was so happy to see in this movie that we have John Leguizamo playing Aurelio, who is he has a body shop, and obviously working with Vigo, who's the Russian mobster. And it's funny, man, because the scene where Yusuf brings in John Wick's car, everything, I guess what I'm saying, guys, I'm not making any sense, and I hope people that are watching this can just at least get the energy we got going on here. The look on John Leguizamo's face when he says, where'd you get that car? Like, you already know the level of respect that John Wick has, because he recognizes that car, and then even hits Yusuf, which you don't do that. I mean, you hit the son of a Russian mafia king or whatever. It's like, what's going on? So this scene was amazing. Kill. Just tell me what you thought of this scene. I know I'm all over the place, but go ahead.
I kind of stated it earlier. Just all of the actors, all of Ian McShane, John Leguizamo, Lance Reddick, the good guys, the bad guys. Kevin Nash, the bouncer, later on.
Yes, I was telling Coriander about that.
Every character in this, whether you like John Wick or the assassins, John Leguizamo is a treasure. I've loved John Leguizamo, ever since he's been on the scene, and he's very underrated. He is so cool in this. He's like, hey, where'd you get this car? He knows the car, like you were saying, Knight.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, some moped. And then John Leguizamo was like, oh, what, you some moped? That's crazy shit, man. He just slaps him.
That's crazy shit, man.
He's like, do you know what you've done? Because John Leguizamo knows the shit storm that is about to come. He knows the bodies that are about to drop. And he wants no part of it. He's like, look, get this car out of here now. To the point where guns are drawn, and he's like, what, you're gonna shoot me? You're gonna shoot me in my own place? Come on, do it. And essentially they take the car out, and he knows, all right, I gotta make a phone call. I gotta jump ahead of this. So he calls Vigo. He calls the Russian boss, the father of this idiot.
Well, Vigo calls him.
Oh, yeah.
Says, you struck my son.
You struck my son. And he says, look, yeah, I did it. And he's like, well, why'd you do it? Look, they messed with John Wick. And Vigo's like, oh. He's like, all right, I say no more. So go ahead.
Yeah, it was just absolutely crazy, man, because you just get a sense of this. And then, of course, and Corey, and I'll give it to you in a second, like, So then the son comes to see, his father, and he's thinking, I'm coming back, I'm the prodigal son and this and that. And the scene where Vigo like hits him like 2 or 3 times.
That's a nice jacket. Thanks. Yeah.
No, he forces him to drink first.
Yes, he gave him a drink.
Yeah.
It was like, what is going on? It was just so funny.
In your stomach first.
Yes. Coriander, and of course the reason I want to talk about this is because Vigo is the one that really tells us about Wick. Coriander, what did you think about this scene and how, I mean, he really made Wick seem mythological, the boogeyman. I mean, and justifiably so.
Yeah, like you said, Baba Yaga, right? So yeah, this scene was great because you get to kind of understand that this is a badass dude, and he fucked up hard, and he even says the commitment that John Wick has for whatever he's doing is incredible, that he doesn't stop. He's like the Terminator, literally. He's like the Terminator. So yeah, you learn a lot in this scene, and you do not feel bad for his son at all. Not at all.
No, you don't. Alfie Allen played that kid really good, as far as just being a despicable dude.
Piece of shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the part where Vigo says, "I saw him one time in a bar kill 3 men with a pencil," and then he walks by his lackey, and he's like that. And and it's funny because it's like they're telling a story, they're giving us the background of Wick. They're building up this mythology, and they're also having a little bit of fun with it. And Vigo, first of all, as a character, I think Vigo was really, really good. Kind of as this bad guy. And and by the way, shout out, because that's Michael Nyqvist, who actually he passed away. I think it was in 2017. Man, it's too bad, but he was great in this film as the villain, the big villain, you know what I mean? But the way that he was telling the story, and Baba Yaga, and his son is like the boogeyman. He's like, well, John wasn't exactly the boogeyman. He was the one you sent to kill the fucking boogeyman. It's just like, it's like you just everything's working. So obviously, this is an action film. I'm sure people that are watching this are wondering, when are we going to talk about the action? Well, here it is, guys. Because Vigo tries to call John and mend fences. It doesn't work. And he basically says, let's put a hit out on him. And, they're like, well, how many men do you need? And Vigo's like, how many do you have? And so we first see the scene at his home when they come to get Wick. You know what I mean? And of course, Keanu is amazing. He's putting on the suit and everything. Everything's cool and everything. Kill, what did you think of this scene? Because this is really the beginning of seeing what John Wick does action-wise.
This is when all of those stories that you heard, he starts to prove them right. Yeah. First of all, tactically, the things that Keanu Reeves does in this movie with the gunplay, how he holds the gun, how he shoots, is so accurate. The training that he went through, for all of these movies is just amazing. And just his philosophy of his gunplay in these movies. Straight headshots, like, hey, I'm gonna put 2 in you, I'm gonna make sure you're down. It's very efficient, it's very tactical. And you guys know, if you've watched any of our reviews or conversations, I am a sucker for cinematography. The lighting and the camera angles that are just used are just so fluid. All of his movies, it's like watching a beautiful ballet or a beautiful martial arts sequence, because all of it is fluid. And the camera, like right here, I can tell that camera is going to stay on that shot there, and then when he goes down to the ground with that guy, it's going to lower down really quickly to continue the action. Right. And Keanu, like you were saying earlier, Night, he's so physical and can act so much with his physicality. He's gonna kill that guy. It looks like he might be running low on ammo. He's gonna pick up another gun. He's gonna keep it going. And just this opening action, I mean, look at that. This opening action sequence
is beautiful.
Is absolutely beautiful. but this is a movie where it's like they keep upping the ante, and man, this is just I sometimes I will just put the sequence on just to watch this.
Right?
Yeah,
That's what I'm talking about, son. Coriander, when you first saw this, what were you thinking when you first saw Wick in action?
I was mesmerized. I couldn't stop watching. You get to understand that everything that was said about him is true, and I would be terrified if he was coming after me. If I was on his hit list, shit, that would suck because I'd be dead. So yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, the thing that got me in this film, right when he first, because he shot a couple people, right? But when he got to this point right here, where he literally jumped up into the arms of one of the attackers, that's when I kind of said, okay, this is what we're going to be doing in this movie as far as the action. Like, he's not just going to be doing, just shooting. He's actually going to be using, martial arts. He's going to be doing some different stuff that we haven't really seen before. Usually, and I don't want to, I know I'm going all over the place, but especially because Kill, we grew up on Bond. We're big fans of Bourne, big fans of Mission Impossible, whether it's the TV show or the Tom Cruise movies, and many other, action movies. But the thing that they did with Wick is that they showed him fighting with the gun in his hand constantly. Like you said, the camera followed Keanu because he trained with the stunt team for months. He trained with them for so long. They literally said he could be a stunt guy. That's how much he was doing with the stunt people, right? And so I think it was really, really cool because you can see that. You can see John Wick. He is John Wick. You can see Keanu Reeves in these shots. And so it's so believable. But he's mixing in, the martial arts, whether it's jujitsu and aikido and things like that. And it looks really good. I mean, he trained in these martial arts for months and months on end. And you usually don't have that with an actor, especially of Keanu Reeves' caliber. They might train for several weeks, maybe even 2 months or something like that. But he was training for months and months and months on end, not just the martial arts, but obviously gun work, taking apart a gun, putting a gun together, how you hold it, actually being tactical, reloading, so he could just do it like that. So his commitment was God level, and so this first
and
sequence,
it shows.
It did.
It shows.
It does. It's so believable, and he's so good at it. I've actually seen videos where they've shown him training, where he's going through target practice. He's got a live set where he's going through different targets, different heights, and all that type of stuff. He's literally being John Wick in the real world. They're just filming it. They're just shooting it, saying, "Go, Keanu, go!" And it's really, really cool. But I'm getting long-winded. I'm sorry. I just love this movie so much.
That's awesome.
But I know. People are probably like, all right, let's get to it. All right, so listen. Kill. I think one of the biggest things about this movie as well is the fact that it's doing different things with the action, but it's also doing different things with its mythology. And we go to a place that, for me anyways, I had never really seen something like this in this type of movie before. And of course, I'm talking about like the greatest hotel of all time, the Continental, where you will not conduct business on the premises lest you incur, a heavy penalty. So listen, Kill, take me through this. And of course, and again, I'm not trying to be a downer about this, but of course, this is when we first meet the late great, and that's what I'm saying, the late great Lance Reddick as Sharon. So, Kill, tell me what you think about this as a place in this movie world.
Once the Continental is thrusted into this movie, it becomes something otherworldly in a good way. Because we've had, hitman movies and things like that, but this now is a whole new world of assassination. Right. Where it's just a hidden aspect of the world we know. It's like when you watch like Blade, and then you realize, oh, there's a whole, and he even says there's a whole nother world underneath this sugar-coated topping, that. And that is another aspect of this movie and this franchise that makes it so amazing, that there is just a whole fraternity of assassins. And the Continental is a safe haven for them. That's where they can come, rest, re-equip, have meetings, see friends, and you can't do business there. You can't take any targets there. You can't, attack anyone there, or you incur wrath. And Ian McShay is, look, can I just look?
I love him, man.
I love this man. It doesn't matter what he's in. He always skirts that edge of, are you a good guy or a bad guy? I can't tell sometimes. Are you a saint or a sinner? Are you Lucifer? I don't know, but he plays it so perfectly. He's like, John, what are you doing? And in one respect, he's talking to him, because he's the manager. And he oversees the Continental, and he's like, hey, once you step a toe back into this world, you get brought back in. There's no half in, half out. And just the scenes where he meets Lance Reddick, it's amazing. He's like, Mr. Wick, welcome back. And then of course when he meets with Ian McShay again, it's like just their scenes together is just magic. The conversations, and you learn once again so much about John in just these little conversations that he has with everyone, because they know his exploits. They know not only what he used to do, but they knew the lengths he had to go to get out, even with the bartender here. You learn so much, and they're just like, wow, dude, you kind of went to the ends of the earth to get out. Why are you back? Like, just great stuff at the Continental. I want to go to the Continental.
Right. Coriander. So he wants to find out where Yusuf is, and obviously, pay the piper. He finds out because Winston finally gives him the information, which we knew he would. Ian McShane is obviously he's gonna keep this ball rolling. Let's talk about when Wick starts to armor up and basically go after Yusuf. And I think that, again, this was just some great stuff happening in the movie. You see him with the vest on. See, that's the other thing too, especially in all the Wick movies, but obviously right here being the first time, because the first thing you think is, well, he's going to get shot. Yeah, he could get shot, but he's putting a vest on and he's going to get, armed up to the nines. What did you think about this scene, Coriander? And of course, when he goes to the nightclub, which is called the Red Circle.
I mean, this guy has got style in every way, from his car to his house to how he dresses. He's in a nice suit. He takes what he does very seriously. And you could just tell with how he's, like you said, loading up with his guns, everything. And he means business. And it was great how he, just eyes that red circle for a minute, sees that goon, one of his buddies, what's his name? Yusuf, or
you mean the son?
Yes, his Yusuf. Buddy comes out of the car and he's like, all right, it's time to go, and it starts. And once it starts, wow, it's awesome. The number of people he takes out in just a matter of a few minutes is incredible. Incredible.
Man. I mean, it's total chaos. Of course, but before he even gets in, and Kill, you mentioned it earlier, we got to give a shout out to our boy. If you're a WWF or WWE wrestling fan, or WCW, Kevin Nash playing the doorman. Kevin Nash is fucking 7 feet tall, okay? And he's still imposing, injuries and all. And Wick just gets him to be like, thank you, sir. Basically, thank you for not killing me, and he knows him and this and that. But again, it's
he's
just
like,
showing.
Take the night off, right?
Yeah, yes. He said, take the night off. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Wick.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Wick. I love it. Kill. I mean, when we go into this scene, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's chaos. What did you think of the action that they played out in the club?
Well, he's doing his kind of Batman thing. He's surveilling the area. He's even stalking, you know, and he's able to creep up on Kevin Nash like that. And I just also want to give a shout out to the music and the lighting, and once again the cinematography in this. He's hunting Yosef. He is hunting him, and he came this close to getting him.
Right? He did.
Really close to roll credits, end of the movie. Like, but it's amazing because not only is he going into the Red Circle Club, Yosef has the bodyguards there on lookout. Like, hey, y'all know I'm here. You know, take care of me. You know, and one of the most imposing bodyguards is your boy Knight.
There he is, my boy. Hey, you know I was gonna talk about him.
Of course. Hey, and look, you know, in this whole entire franchise, I gotta say, you know, maybe this is just John, you know, dusting the rust off of him.
Right.
He kind of whoops John's ass.
He does. He gets him.
Yeah.
So this is Daniel Bernhardt, who he's a real martial artist, and Kill probably remembers way back in the day, because obviously I used to bombard our room with martial arts shit, and Daniel Bernhardt had a couple of you know B-level stuff, but he did star in the what was it the Bloodsport? God, or is it Kickboxer? It was one of
those sequels.
Yeah, it was one of this has been so long since I've seen it, but he basically was in the sequel to one of the Van Damme movies, and actually it wasn't that bad. I mean, he's not a great actor, but but neither is Van Damme. But point being is, when I saw him, I was like, oh shit, this is a guy who's gonna really do some stuff, and he had a great fight with Wick. But I'm sorry, Kill, go ahead.
No. I mean, just once again, like I said a little earlier, each of the action scenes kind of takes it to the next level.
Yeah.
And I mean, in this one, he's in a crowded club, a beautiful club full of people, but he's so good at what he does. If he's going to kill you, he's only going to kill you. He's not going to shoot crazy and erratic. He's an assassin, but he's very, very calm and collected and precise. And like I said, in this action sequence, you get to see a lot of gunplay, and then right here, the martial arts kind of showdown. And once again, he came this close to getting them.
Yeah, he was.
Great scene, great cinematography, the music, the lighting, amazing.
Yeah, and also, and Coriander, I'll give it to you in a second. Also, there was some realistic type of shit, man. You're dealing with this really big, burly guy who could probably kick you into tomorrow. Well, he's got a beard, so grab his beard, baby. You know what I'm saying? Grab his beard. But it was a great fight scene. But what I also loved about it, and Corey and I wanted to throw this to you, is the fact that this movie tried to show a different side of action, because you see right here, and he does it several times in this movie, he has to reload.
Oh yeah.
He does not have unlimited ammo. Yes.
Yeah. It makes you believe that this is, really happening in real time, because he's doing these things. Like you said, in other movies, you don't see them reloading when they at one point had to.
That's right.
So it just makes it more believable and realistic, and it just makes this movie that much better, because they pay attention to every detail. So
that's right. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and it's just really, really interesting how they do those things. And obviously this is stylized, but they are trying to have some elements that you don't usually see in these action movies. But he gets hurt. Daniel Bernhardt hurts him pretty bad, like you were saying, Kill. And so when you get hurt, you got to go see a doctor. And fortunately, the Continental provides this service. And who is he with? He is with your boy, the Keymaker from the Matrix movies. You knew I was going to say something about him. Listen, look. First of all, credit to Keanu Reeves, because he worked with Stahelski and a bunch of people. They were doing stunt choreography for the Matrix movies. And here's one of the characters, the key maker, he was in the Matrix. I think it was the second one, Reloaded. So it was just really cool. It was really cool to see that. That's Randall Duke Kim. And so, anyways, it's just cool because you see some familiar faces, and obviously this movie has a lot of great actors. But the next thing we see is that he's hurt, and he actually has to take something to allow him to still be able to move around because he's got stitches and so forth. And that's exactly when someone's going to start fucking with John Wick, because there's a hit put out on him. Because Vigo's like, someone has to take out Wick before Wick takes out my son. And so who should come into the room, kill? Because look, Miss Perkins,
I like Miss Perkins though.
She's down for whatever. And fortunately, but here's the thing, fortunately for Wick, you had your boy Marcus, played by Willem Dafoe, who was on the roof across the way, on top of a building across the way, that was basically keeping an eye on John Wick, and actually got Wick to move out of the way so that he would know that someone's coming to attack him. It was a great little scene kill. What did you think about this scene with Perkins and Wick?
Oh, she kind of whooped him up too. I mean, granted, he's
He was
been
hurt.
shot and stabbed and broken
Right.
ribs, and but she doesn't really care. She's not all about the rules.
No.
So even though
She's all about the money.
Yeah, she's
Mhm.
about the money and the clout. She's like, I don't
Right.
care about the rules. I want to be the one to kill John Wick.
Right.
Okay,
Good point.
that will look great on my resume of,
Right.
hey, you should choose me as your assassin. I've killed this person, this person. Oh, I killed John Wick, Baba Yaga. So you might want to hire me. Once again, a great scene, very physical scene. And also just some comedy in there, especially once he kind of gets the upper hand on Miss Perkins, and another fellow assassin that knows John kind of sees everything going on, and all of this is it's just an average Monday for them. You okay, John? Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
And I also love the way he used his sling as a weapon, man, because that's really smart too. And that's some really cool martial arts stuff there too. But you're right, it has some lightheartedness too. And even Sharon is calling up saying, basically saying there's been a lot of grievances about noise, noise complaints and stuff. It's just, and this is all happening during an action sequence. It's actually quite comical. I mean, to me, it has a lot of elements that it's throwing at you at the same time. You know what I mean? But anyways, yeah, Miss Perkins, she doesn't play around. Coriander, she does give Wick the location of Vigo's little stash hideout at a church, and of course, he decides that he wants to go to the church, burn the money, so that he can get Vigo to come out, and he wants to finish this. He wants to get Vigo's son. First of all, what do you think of that action sequence? And of course, then he gets captured.
Yeah, I mean, he just walks into this church and starts blowing people away.
Right.
And you got this one little old lady who's like just sitting there, not moving throughout this whole thing. And I mean, it was a good scene. He got, he found out where Yosef was. So he was able to, and he's like, what is the point of all this? Why are you doing this? And he threw I thought those were like bombs, but they're just things that were going to like light everything on fire. And he destroyed everything that Russian mobster father dude had. And he was making his point that y'all are fucked. Right.
Well, and I think that what was interesting, and he even said, I had fun doing that. And you gotta love Vigo. He's like, I bet you did, And again, it was another great scene where they continued this mythology of Wick. And to me, I think Vigo said a lot of things that were interesting, because he said, you and I, we are cursed. This life, it follows you, this life of killing and so forth. And he said, that's why God took your wife and why he unleashed you upon me. And again, it's just really, really, it plays really well, and it's different. It really is. And trust me, and Kill, I know you have too, and Coriander, you have too. But I've watched a lot of action movies, a lot of hitman, assassin, agents, whatever. And this just plays so different. And especially how Keanu Reeves, and like you said, this is where he got really angry, because he's like, your son took from me the last part of my wife that I had so that I could grieve
it's like
for
a
her.
little bit of hope. Yeah, man.
Yes, the semblance of hope. Yes, absolutely, Coriander. That's so right. And that's what this is all about. A sense of hope, like redemption for him, maybe for his soul. That's what that dog represented, or at least a big part of what it represented. And of course, look, he's in a bad situation, and I think Vigo also sees this as a moment to get over this whole fear of the boogeyman. He even kind of makes fun of him, Baba Yaga, and he shakes his head, basically saying, you're just a man. That's basically the vibe that Vigo is giving us. But look, man, shout out to Marcus once again, doing what a friend needs to do and taking the shot so that John Wick can get out of the situation and ultimately get the information from Vigo about where his son is, which is a hideout.
Yeah.
Final thing, man, the hideout scene. You got people that are guarding Yosef. They're playing like shooting games. They don't give a shit about Wick coming for them. It's like, are you guys smoking? What? You're not on guard? What are you doing? What'd you think about that scene? And of course, when Wick finally gets in front of Yosef.
I mean, they just don't have a true understanding of the level of dedication that John has. And I just want to add one last thing to that previous scene. That's the scene that I was talking about earlier, where he really kind of does the most dialogue.
Yeah.
Because he's talking, and then this is the scene also where he is his most uncontrolled. Your son took from me.
Yeah.
This and that. And essentially it sounds very evil, kind of sounds like a demon. Give me your son. He literally says that, give him to me. Like, no father's gonna do that, even though his son is a screw up.
Right.
But now back to the scene where they're the final, this is a video game, the final stand, trying to get to the end of the level, and they're playing Halo. He's surrounded by all his buddies. They're not good guards. And John just goes through them like a hot knife through butter, and literally like finally gets to Yosef. And Yosef is still slimy and kind of still right. Thank you. Still talking shit.
Still talking that shit.
And it's just so funny the way that John kills him. He doesn't even kill him in a respectful manner.
Right.
I think he barely doesn't even stop his stride. You see, as he's walking towards him, I don't think he actually even stops at least too much to really say, "Hey, you deserve it." Yeah, it's just kind of like headshot, and he just walks away.
Yeah,
and that's really all Yosef deserved, because he was a punk this whole movie. Yeah, and just cowered behind all of his daddy's money and guards and firepower.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, and it's over. Coriander, this is where I was talking about earlier at the airport, because now we've seen him fight with his hands, we've seen him fight with he has guns, and now we're seeing him fight with a damn car. And to me, this is what they call like car foo. And seriously, it was amazing stuff, because he was using the vehicle to really kill people. It was almost like jousting in a way as he's driving, like he's driving and shooting people, like he doesn't stop, and he's controlling the car. And Keanu Reeves did a lot of car driving training as well for this movie to pull off these scenes. What did you think about this? And of course, the final confrontation he has with Vigo.
I mean, like we were talking about earlier, when he was driving his car in the airport, one of the driveways, parking lot, runway. It was really good. I mean, he can do anything. He can handle anything. I mean, he just knows what he's got to do, and he does it. It doesn't matter if he's walking, running, on a bike, pedaling. He's gonna do it. Right. So it was a great scene, and I mean, one one scene that I really, which I thought was so funny, was a little before this scene, right? Was when the Russian father would had him, tied up, and he was driving away, and Wick got out, but he ran and caught up with him.
Right.
And just the look on his face, like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I thought that scene was awesome. It showed everything of like, wow,
Yeah.
this man is, what he's called.
Hey, where is he? Shit!
And one thing to also back up before we had even the car scene where he's fighting with the car is that Vigo was really pissed off, obviously, that his son was killed and he was betrayed by Marcus, by Willem Dafoe. So he actually went to go and kill Marcus, which that was a rough scene. I mean, he literally, he figuratively and literally got his hands dirty and killed Marcus. And we also saw that Miss Perkins was part of that as well. We knew that she was a snitch anyways. But we also saw what happens when you break Continental rules, is that, your privileges will be by thine own hand revoked, as our good friend Winston told her. And man, she got aced out. But
yes, she did.
Kill, with the final scene with Wick versus Vigo, and of course ending this up, what were your thoughts on it?
This was kind of like a bonus stage, because essentially, all through this, he only really wanted to kill the son. He didn't want to kill this entire army of people between him and his son. He really just wanted to kill him, not his best friends, the guys playing Halo, all the guards. Look, I don't have anything else left. My son is dead. My empire is crumbling. Money has been destroyed. And he knows he can't beat John.
Yeah.
But my hat is off to him. He still stood toe to toe with them. Like, hey, look.
To the end.
Yeah, I might not have your particular set of skills, but hey, I'm gonna try my best, and I'm still gonna talk shit too.
He did. And of course, and that was just really interesting. But of course, that sent us to the end of the movie, which in the beginning of the film, that's where we actually started with everything, because we saw John, who was injured and barely able to walk, and he gets out of his vehicle and he's all fucked up and all this type of stuff. And so that was kind of like, it was interesting the way they did that. It was kind of like them going from the beginning and then just showing us what happened and then getting back to that, so it was really, really interesting. And of course, at the end of the movie, he's right in front of a veterinarian center or whatever, and he gets the medicine, he stitches himself up with staples and stuff, and he finds a new dog, and that's the end of it. It's a fantastic movie. For anyone that is a fan of action movies, I mean, you really don't get much better than this. I think the story is lean and mean. It's well done.
It's a perfect movie. I'm gonna say it.
It's really,
to me, it's
really,
a perfect movie.
There's no doubt about it.
I kind of agree. It's perfect.
It really is. It really is. Big credit to everyone in front of and behind the camera. And again, as we wrap this up, first of all, again, rest in peace to Lance Reddick. I could not, and I'm not trying to sound weird about it, but I just thought to myself, oh my God, we're right about to record this thing for John Wick, and I just read that he passed away. It was so weird, and I really enjoyed him and all of his work, and it's a loss. But anyways, for you guys watching, hopefully you're a big fan of John Wick, and if you weren't before, hopefully you are now. It is a really great action movie. Seriously, you should check it out. But let us know what you think in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts about John Wick? Are you excited for John Wick 4 coming up? And what are some of your favorite moments in this movie? We're going to be covering all the movies and just having a fun time going down memory lane with it. Also, please hit the like button. It would help to support the channel. We'd really appreciate it. And if you are not subscribed to the Night Watch Zone, do it. This is the time to do it. So anyways, we appreciate you guys so much, and we will catch you later. So If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.